Hello and welcome. My name is Maria Kliavkov, and I am the founder and director of Healthy Mourning Revolution. We're all about revolutionizing the way you think about grief and mourning. And today we're going to talk about grieving our icons. You might be wondering why I'm dressed in this particular pink lady getup. It's because one of my icons died last week, Olivia Newton-John. We've lost many icons recently, and that brings up a very special kind of grief. And so I wanted to speak about that for a second so that we understand what's happening and we understand the opportunity, both the opportunity to honor and express gratitude to these individuals who have been larger than life for us, who have walked us through some of our hardest times. Certainly Olivia Newton-John with her music has walked me through more times than I care to remember. And she was part of my childhood, as most icons are. Most icons who have deep meaning for us is because they were with us during a difficult time in our life or a developmental time in our life where we developed a relationship with them, even though we didn't know them personally. We got to know them through their music, through their movies, through their television shows, whatever avenue of expression that touched us deeply. And because they touched us so deeply, we feel great grief when we know that they're no longer physically on the planet. Grief is all about that internal experience of loss. And what happens when we're grieving an icon is not only are we grieving the physical loss of them, which means they will no longer be producing music that touches our hearts, or they will no longer be producing movies or whatever avenue of expression we're used to connecting with to them. But it also means that we're feeling the loss of that time period in our life. Now, it is completely coincidence that on the Saturday following her death, I was already scheduled to go to a Grease sing-along, which was a costume sing-along, which is why I actually purchased this particular getup. And I wasn't sure what it was going to be like, what it was going to feel like, because it was so close to her death. What it ended up being was an incredible celebration of her life and her music, and we sang with abandon. It was a way of honoring her and honoring the life-giving force that she was. Finding ways to convert our grief to mourning, finding ways to celebrate the icon that we miss so deeply, and giving ourselves permission to not only grieve their passing, but also grieve any other losses that we're feeling at that time is really important. It gives a little space and grace to our grief. And as we convert that grief to mourning, again, mourning being that external expression of the internal experience. So singing the songs, crying the tears, remembering and sharing our memories of the first time that we saw Grease, or the song that meant the most to us, because we had these fabulous conversations while we were waiting for the movies to start and while we were eating our wonderful dinner. All of these things give us an opportunity to actively convert our grief to mourning. And when we do that, we feel release and we feel relief. If we don't provide ourselves with these opportunities to convert the grief to mourning, what happens is the grief gets buried and carried because it gets caught inside of us with no avenue for external expression. In future videos, we're going to be talking about what happens when we avoid our grief and when it becomes buried and carried, and what are effective ways of choosing not to avoid our grief. But that's for another day. As always, if you have questions about this video, please put the questions in the comment section below so that I can answer your questions in our podcast, the Healthy Mourning Revolution Radio. I also invite you by all means to, if you have ideas of what you want me to talk about in future YouTubes, feel free to put that in the comment section below. As always, I wish you ease and grace in your grief journey. I ask you to like and to subscribe, click on the button so that you can hear when we've got a new video that's been posted. And by all means, please share this. If there's been anything in this that has been of use to you, share it with your friends. Let's share the wealth and share the knowledge. And let's make sure that collectively we create compassionate grief communities. Much love to you. Namaste.